Hello ladies and gentlemen, everyone above, below, or in between, welcome back. And unfortunately I'm gonna start over because I just got in the middle of ranting and about all the different things that they could have done to make New Vegas and Fallout 4 a little bit better for whatever reason. And it's bound to happen, man. It's bound to happen. So I'm pretty sure I already got a video on that somewhere. But in case I haven't, I'm going to go ahead and just get it out of my systems right now so I can get back into character and just playing the game as is. And just showing everybody where the stuff's at, right? Okay. With Fallout 4, we all know how there's a voiced protagonist, and they could have just added the simple option of just either a voiced protagonist or not. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's this option right here where you can just take all the voices of all the characters and drop it to 0. So you're just reading text boxes. But that could have been something that they could have done to change things up a bit. Another issue that came up was the main quest line. They could have had the option of either playing the story as is or create their own story. You know what I'm saying? Because based on the footage that I saw, I don't, you can just start the game after creating your character. You can just start the game where he's at the door and running to the shelter and then gets frozen, and that's the end of it. Or you can skip ahead even further and just create your character. He wakes up in cryogenic freezing, and nobody knows who he is or what he's about or whatever. You don't really have that issue of you must find the child mission. You know what I mean? You just decide to find whoever, or they can nudge you in that direction or whatever. You know what I mean? There could have been options at that game. They could have set up that game with options to do that. I don't know why they took that direction, but particularly to make pretty much just another random shooter. I don't know why they didn't improve the other methods of combat either, whether it be unarmed or melee. They looked to me like the unarmed or melee combat plays pretty much the same. I don't know if there's any stealth involved in the game, but I'm sure it'd be no different from the standard stealth that we have. Like, there's not going to be any grappling hooks. You're not going to be stalking your prey like Batman, going around not getting seen. Most likely is going to be silencers. You're not going to be hugging walls. You know what I mean? And they could have changed all that. They could have made, you don't have to be as over the top with your combos as like say Devil May Cry or Enter the Matrix, the Path, and you could have been, you could have figured out a way to get VATS to behave differently, like Z targeting from Zelda 64, and that could have been, that could have helped, and that could have been the way VATS functions for your melee combat. You could have used that as a basis for your melee, and your unarmed, you could have used Dead to Rights, I think it is. You know what I mean? Where you just target a character and you can beat them up to a pulp or whatever. They could have fixed that the way that those two methods of gameplay work. They could have changed that, but instead they just went for the casual shooting crowds, which, like I said previously, it made no sense because I think Bethesda's making Doom. I think it is. They're making Doom, and everybody expects that to be a first-person shooter. So they could have went nuts on that and popped in multiplayer and just about anything else. You know what I mean? Just like the good old days. They could have just went all out with the shooting aspects on that. Because the Fallout people, they don't play Fallout for just a pure shooter. Don't get me wrong. They all like the extra ability of shooting, but they just don't. That's not what they come there for. They come there to role play. And I think it's a missed opportunity that that they didn't make changes to the alternate methods of combat, or even the skills even. according to most of the reports. And the story, the main story, you can't quite deviate from. You know, again, I don't know why they did that. Because when you got games from the PlayStation 2 generation that pretty much perfected multiple methods of combat and all that other stuff, I mean, you know, there could have been ways to make the character more more accessible to all the other crowds if they wanted to do that. You know what I mean? You could have appealed to everybody, not just one particular crowd. I don't know why they did that, because there's Devil May Cry fans out there that have been disappointed with their games. There's certainly the Batman fans out there that have been disappointed with the buggy and glitchy Arkham games that they've been coming out with lately. You got you know, whatchamacallit, you have folks that haven't seen another Dead to Rights in a long time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a way that they could have done this to where, you know, they could have appealed. You know, they could have appealed to much more wider audiences, sell more copies, but they completely missed that opportunity. And I don't understand that, because with New Vegas and Fallout 3, that was the first thing that I couldn't understand. Why is it that you have all these extra skills, but when you drop points in it, the character does not behave differently, he doesn't act smoother, or he doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, particularly with the combat or the stealth, you know what I mean? It's all just percentages and a little extra damage or a little extra resistance, you know what I mean? It just didn't really make sense. What's another thing I would have done for improvements? The skills, I wouldn't have gotten rid of them, but I probably would have added a couple or combined a couple. Like unarmed and melee in these games, since they both pretty much act the same, it doesn't make too much sense to me that a guy can knock somebody's head off with one punch, but, you know, if you don't drop any points in melee, you'll be swinging at him with a bat all day long. To me, that just didn't make any sense. So if you put these two together, that'd be nice. And if you want to put in a skill, I'd put in the heavy weapon skill. That to me actually makes a lot of sense. And I just attach it to explosives. It'd be explosives / heavy weapons, because we know that that's all going to be about. Lockpick and repair, I probably would have put those two together as the same skill. It would have been lockpick / repair. Survival and science. Science I would have divided between both medicine and survival, and it would have been just medicine / science and survival / science. And I would just mix it up there, because most of what science does is pretty much, it just hacks computers, and you have a couple of extra dialogue options. That's it. You know, that to me, that's kind of a waste. And it's a similar thing with repair. You could have attached that to lockpick. What's another issue that I would have done? Yeah, I would have put in more implants. So if you chose to, you could have maxed out. You could have maxed out all these if you wanted to, if that's the way you wanted to role play. You know, or you could have just maxed out what you needed, and that would have been the end of it. But the only thing that I wouldn't have added would have been the luck. Whatever you picked at the beginning of the game for your luck, that would have been it. There would have been no way of changing that except for the lucky shapes that they put in there, or some item. Well, that's another thing. Somebody actually mentioned ages ago that after you're done playing, if you're done with a playthrough of New Vegas or Fallout 3, it would have been a heck of a lot cooler if they allowed you to build your own custom armor at the end of it. You know, like whatever skill you got 100 points in, it would have been cool if you could take 25 points of each one of those that you max out to 100 and drop them into an armor. You know what I mean? Like right here, like I would have been able to take unarmed, repair, melee, medicine, lockpick, guns, and explosives, and energy weapons, and I would have been able to take 25 points of each of those and transfer them into an armor, so that, you know, the next character build I do would be completely different. I like that. I like that idea. And to top it off, you can customize your armor any which way you see fit. Like you can just mix and match the tops. You know, you can mix and match the arm pieces, the jacket, the pants, the boots, the gloves, the belts and buckles or whatever, and you can change the colors of it. You know, just the same as you could in Soul Calibur 4 or Saints Row 2. You know what I mean? I would have definitely done that. That would have been an interesting reward type of system. And then after that, after your armor, you will do glasses and then a headpiece. And then after that, you would have done a weapon that you could customize. After that, you could go around customizing all the different factions, changing what they look like and what tools they have at their disposal. You know what I'm saying? Just pretty much reward the character by customizing the game just a little bit. Allow them to drop percentages of their points and stuff every time they completed the game. You know what I'm saying? That would have been interesting. You know what I mean? Even if it was mostly cosmetic and less of the stat building stuff, it still would have been a fairly interesting way to reward your players for actually playing. You know what I mean? And I think that could have worked out quite well. What else would I have done? Oh, I don't know. So we already mentioned combat. We already mentioned customization and rewards for playing the game. You know what I mean? Because if you just played through the base game and you never bothered buying all the DLC, wouldn't you want people to be happy with their purchase? You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe they don't intend on buying all the DLC unless it's out on the Ultimate Edition. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't you want them to come back for more and again and again and again? When they finally get tired of playing it, then they'll buy the DLC. You know what I'm saying? You want to give them some incentive. But that's not what we got. That's not what happened. And then Fallout 4, you know, they got less RPG elements and more casual crowd fitting shooter elements. I honestly don't know why they do that. I really don't. But you know, this is just a quick little rant to get it off my chest so I can just get back into character and get back to playing. Anyway, good luck to all. Have a nice day. Peace out.